So by now, I think we all know that Minecraft has plenty of economies, from the in-game emerald trading to ones more typical with servers, like diamonds or one of the many coin/economy mods available. But I wanted to create something new, something based on an already available resource in Minecraft so anyone playing could use it, and as per Minecraft fashion, I wanted it to be a little bit silly, and ultimately lead to fun gameplay. As you can probably tell from the title, this economy is based on bees, more specifically on honey. I've compiled a few points to convince you why bees are the superior economy. Warning, this is going to be a silly topic taken very seriously. Welcome to the bee economy. Stackability. Now, this is just a heads up. For this video, I'm mainly going to compare this to a diamond economy in Minecraft, with references to a few others. This is purely because of the popularity of this style and of series that use it, like Hermitcraft. When we look at diamonds or emeralds, which are both common economies, they have a few main ways to stack. If you have Silk Touch, you can collect the ore form, but in general, it's as the actual gem, and as the block form. Now, let's compare this to honey. The equivalent of the ore form would probably be a full hive. Then there are two next step ups, honey bottles or honeycomb, and then these both have another stage up, a honey block or a honeycomb block. But how is this better? In most real-life economies, you have different coins to represent different economic value. For example, a £1 coin versus a £2 coin. This is mirrored in a diamond-style economy, where the only real function of a diamond block is to act as a sort of 9-diamond coin. But Minecraft isn't real life, so why should it be mirrored at all? In a honey economy, you can assign different economic values to all the different types of honey depending on multiple factors determined by the players and what's considered a priority for them. Maybe one player has a cave spider spawner, so because they're at risk of poisoning when working on it, they prefer to receive honey bottles from what they sell, which can cure poison. Or we can get more complex. For example, you get 3 honeycombs from shearing a beehive, compared to only 1 bottle. So perhaps honeycomb holds a lower economic value because it's easier to get more of it. This is if we're going similar to a diamond-style economy. But honeycomb is used for more things, so perhaps that actually increases its value. I would typically say at least that a honey block would represent the top tier, because it's harder to get and useful. But basically there are 2 economic branches you could have with honey, and this can be tailored to the item that's being sold. For example, maybe on a server, honeycomb is like a general coin, so it's used to buy basic goods like wheat. But if we're buying bread instead, perhaps the seller values this at a bottle of honey, because bottles of honey are seen as more of an equivalent. They're a food source as well, but can also cure poisons and are harder to get than regular honeycomb. So that accounts for labour costs and is seen as your profit. I would say it's more like a barter system, which a lot of servers already use, so it's a good middleman. Renewable, but not OP. As a server expands, the economy will need to scale. Let's think server-wide here. Say a server is contained to a certain number of chunks. There will inevitably be an end of diamonds. This can lead to players who join a server later struggling to find unmined diamonds. In a honey economy, they can start their own bee farm and slowly but surely increase their income. Now let's say we want to regulate it more. If one player acting as a bank were to collect all of the diamonds in this server and start dividing them out for an economy, there will still only ever be the same amount of diamonds in that chunk that we started with, without using cheats. Now, if one player acting as a bank were to go around and destroy all the natural beehives and then round up all the bees / start their own beehives at their hypothetical bank, there would be a renewable supply of honey if the server increases its players. Also, compared to using wheat as a currency, where you have to go full dictatorship to ban wheat farms, it would be way easier to regulate bee farming in a restricted number of chunks. Obviously, this all relies on the fact that nobody is going to steal from each other, but don't all economies? In Minecraft and real life? Also, just imagine how much more fun the criminal gameplay would be, like if you're stealing a bee and having a secret criminal bee farm compared to like a secret diamond vault. I don't know, I just think that sounds more fun. And speaking of farms, bee farms aren't something that generate at the rate of some of the other OP farms. So even if someone were to get their hands on a bee, God forbid, So even if someone were to get their hands on a bee, they can't just AFK at an insane level farm and crash the economy. Multiple purposes. Sure, diamonds are used for tools and armour, but after a while you have enough of that. Or you have mending, and the diamonds just aren't needed anymore. They sit in your ender chest or a vault, they're static. Honey has multiple functions. Honey blocks are mainly used in redstone, but also in parkour or traps. I'm spitballing here, but imagine being able to show off your wealth through the scale of redstone builds. Everyone can craft armour and tools, but not everyone can do complex redstone, so it would add even more bragging rights if you can. Also, from a general perspective, honey bottles are a food source, so if you're carrying your money around to make some purchases but you get attacked or stranded or whatever and you need food, you can just eat your money. Think of it like trading your money for more life in-game. Honeycomb also has more applications like waxing copper or crafting candles. This leads on to my next point. Net worth. There are loads of great Minecraft currency videos out there for all your currency needs. I've linked some in my bio. The reason I bring this up is because of this video, where they propose poisonous potatoes as a great currency because they aren't used in baking, so you aren't limiting gameplay by restricting any item to just being currency. Now yes, this is a fantastic point for an intelligent currency system, and you should definitely check this video out. But for this silly honey economy, I propose a different view on this, which links to my last point. I think there's a benefit to having the currency also have a usability in-game, which is then used to weigh up its value. Like I mentioned with honeycomb versus honey bottles. And this goes back to my point on why does a Minecraft economy have to mirror a real life one? The whole point of this concept is that it's silly and unique and made specifically for Minecraft. Since honey is also used in loads of other stuff, I would say it's more like having your money in assets. I may only have one honey bottle to my name, but my base is a gothic castle with candles everywhere. Each candle is in sets of 4, which is the equivalent of 1 honeycomb block, so I have a separate net worth to the amount of upfront honey I own. This to me is just cool for roleplay purposes. Yes, I acknowledge that diamonds are used in multiple recipes, but they've been in the game longer and the amount of vanilla recipes they're in, excluding armour and tools, isn't that many. Plus candles are a great building tool and a light source that also stack in building, not just in inventory. So there's a reason you'd want to have multiple of them in your base, as opposed to only needing one enchanting table or one jukebox, potentially in an entire server. So this just becomes a motivator to actually engage in the Minecraft economy. Idiot-proof / more fun. Look, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm a bad Minecraft player, I'm bad at fighting mobs, caves are scary, so I'm bad at getting diamonds. Yes, I know it's a skill issue. But this brings me on to my next point. Honey is idiot-proof. Yes, bees get angry, but if I decide that I want to be the quote-unquote banker, rather than having to grind for diamonds, I'd be starting a bee farm, which is, in my opinion, more fun and, in a sense, kind of represents passive income. Okay, yes, I did just make a whole video essay on Minecraft honey, and no, I didn't think out every logistics, so don't come for me in the comments, but you're the one who watched it, so who really wins here?